Hello, is my voice audible to everyone or something else? Hello, is my voice audible to everyone or? Okay, so since voice is audible to everyone, so let's start with today's topic. The today's topic is all about anonymous arrays, and we are going to cover array programs with the necessary programs in associated which we require in automation perspective that you should have an idea before moving on to the topics wise. So let's understand the lecture wise in briefly description. So before that, we have covered 1D array, 2D array, and inside that we have also covered how we can declare, create, and initiate, and then retrieve those datas with that part. So that we already have covered with that. So the today's topic is all about anonymous arrays, and then we will move with the array programs that we need to have an understanding before moving into automation perspective knowledge we have. So, first topic is anonymous arrays. So, the question arises when you were covering the with anonymous arrays is what is arrays? I hope you are able to hear me perfectly. I have changed my mic. I have purchased new one, so probably you are able to hear me perfectly before that. And also, I have added a new webcam, so you can able to watch me or see me better than in previous lectures. I hope. So the topic is about what is anonymous arrays, and inside that, this is the first topic that we are going to discover in our topic. Then after discussing this and how we are useful, means how it's useful in programming topic. Third is what are the syntax of AA arrays. So instead of declaring complete name anonymous array, so I'm using at AA for more short form. That's not more issues. Then why we use, then one program to understand this. This is an additional topic. So probably it's an interview question. People generally ask if you are not following anything, so we can just skip it if you want from your side. It's just an information thing for interview. Generally people used to ask if you want to declare an array without declaring any reference variable and how we can do that. So that what this array is all about. So the anonymous array is the topic that is associated for the interviews perspective only. So for any automation thing in real time, we are not going to use anonymous arrays. We are generally going to use with the proper array declaration approach, but we should have an idea how the anonymous arrays look like. So then we will check with what are the types of AA arrays we can declare. So let's start with one by one on each these topics, and then we can wrap it up this topic, and then we can start with our Java programming related to the arrays topic. You can drop a note into the chat section as well if you found any concerns during our lectures. So the first topic is definition. So anonymous arrays is means if uh, an array that is created without assigning a reference variable, means like we did in the previous lectures. Let me create one package. So the package name is lecture number 6, and let's make it as class as AA test. So this is the main method that we have declared inside the that. In last lecture we have understand that this is how we are declaring a array, and using this new int, and we need to define the size. By using this we are declaring an initiation of arrays, and then for assigning a value, we are going to use like this approach. Since it's an integer number, it can hold an integer value. So this is how we already have seen in the yesterday's lecture. So in the anonymous arrays, we have seen we have declared a variable which is named as a. So instead of declaring any variables, so new operator is directly being used, and inside that we need to provide the data it is holding. So let's say 10, 30, 50. So this is the array that you wanted to create in that part. So this is how you can tell that this is how anonymous arrays gets created against the value. So this is the syntax of anonymous array. You should have, that means new operator, then their associated data type. Right now we have chosen integer, the bracket, and whatever the data it can hold. Right now you can see it is saying that it is not a valid statement, because in all of the anonymous arrays we are passing those arrays in our functions method. So basically we need to create one function, and inside that parameter that array is going to be assigned with the that annotations. So this is how the arrays will look like. You can see if we don't want to create any reference variable, then only anonymous arrays comes in handy. And if we don't want to reuse again same data, so that's why we are going to use those anonymous arrays. So these are the main useful logic in anonymous arrays. So we have covered the definitions, we have understand when it is useful, when we need to pass an array directly to a method, not creating any reference variable, and we don't want to reuse any data. So that's why we are using an anonymous array. So the key point we have discussed here is it is only used once and don't have any name, because we don't create any reference variable. So as you will see, only we need to define the new operator, the data types, and the elements that it consists of that. For example, like this, it you can see new int. Let me zoom out more for more readability. You can see the new integer. It's type of an array where it can hold 10, 20, 30, and 40. But if we are not using new int like this and only using like this 40, 50, and this, if I create like this value and passing the value in any value in the function, so that is not working at all. It is not an array. So this is how the anonymous array syntax look like. So error must use a new keyword for providing a anonymous array. So why we use anonymous arrays? For cleaner code when calling some methods, saves memory because we are not creating any reference variables. Since it's only a one-time uses, for example any functions, then it is great use. We don't need to create a reference variable. We just provide the elements that it should contain, and automatically it get passed through it. So generally we are passing this array as a directly into the method like we did in this. So let's say we have created a function public static sum which is accepting integer of arr. So this is the function I have created. So you can see this is I have created. So now it is accepting an array of integer type. So if I want to call this, we can, instead of creating a reference variable like this, I have needs to create, let's say I have created 30, 40, 50 this value, and this array I have passed here like this. Let me make this static, so we can call this function directly basis. So this is how you can see I have passed the array, then only it is working. So instead of declaring like this, we can change it to a anonymous array. This is normal array passing in some method. But if instead of using this approach, we are going with anonymous array approach. So how we can do that? Just pass a new int and provide the element. Let's say I wanted to pass the same element 40 and 50. You can see there is no such array has been assigned there is no such declaration of variables has been associated with it, and directly I am passing this array into this function. And there you can see, before that, if I try directly on our code man methods, you will see some error is being thrown by the compiler. But when I choose this approach, it is not throwing any error. So this is how the anonymous arrays look like, and do whatever action you want to do. Like for example, you wanted to provide a sum, and this sum is being returned to you, for example, that what you wanted to do, or you wanted to print the sum output, so you can also do that with that same logic. So, since you have only seen the example of integer, we can pass multiple any type of arrays. Like we already have seen, in arrays can hold any sort of values which is of homogeneous only. So instead of declaring an integer, we can also pass a string as well, right? So string can be Ajay, and like says this is Dhaiya is educator at GFG. So this, it is a string of array. This can also be passed like this. So it can accept any sort of values we want to do. You just need to specify any sort of values that you need to do with that part. So let me just give me one sec. So sorry for the disturbance. So you can see anonymous arrays have, we can have a different data types associated with that part. So you can create any anonymous arrays of any type, like with the did in this, like string names, double values can be hold as well. So you can assign any value sort of values in the anonymous arrays. So when we are not using anonymous arrays, so the question arises, when we are not using in the real time, we generally don't use anonymous arrays. Anonymous arrays are those arrays that we are not using, or that we are not going to provide any again. Means we are not modifying frequently manner, then only anonymous arrays get involved. If you want to modification can be done in anonymous time, then we are using a anonymous arrays. Let me just give you one sec. Yeah, I'm back, sorry for the inconvenience. So the when we are not going to use an anonymous arrays, when you need to reuse some arrays, then we are not going to use the same. We are declaring some variables like this, and then this array or this variable we are assigning this like this. This is how we are in the real time uses we are going to do with the arrays. When the array must be modified frequently, like we need to add some data, we need to delete some data, we need to fetch some data, then only we are not going to use anonymous arrays. For more readability, we are generally creating a reference variables. So, being an automation tester, I was suggesting you that you do, instead of using a anonymous arrays, go with the normal 1D array, 2D array approach that you have. We already seen yesterday's lectures. So it's an example for anonymous arrays where we have created a sum functions, and we are printing the output of that sum, and then we are calling using a anonymous arrays of that function. So let's try to do that and perform the same. You can see, let's delete this unnecessary data. You can see this sum function is accepting an integer of array. So we can provide anonymous arrays like this. Let's say I have provided 30, 40, and 50. So I wanted to print the sum of all those methods. So let's declare some variables. Total is equal to 0. For loop, let's go with the integer approach. For each approach, this is how for each it looks like, and you already have an idea. Let's that total plus I. That means on the first time it will, I means 30, and total here is representing a 0. So 0 plus 30, that means total now have a value of 30. This is the new value of total. Again the loop started, and now the I will remains 40. That means 30 plus 20, 40 means now total will hold a 70. Again the loop will start it, and then another I will fetch this 50. and then the total here remains is 120. In the end, you can see total will now hold a value of 120, means the sum of each element. Then only we can display the sum. Sum of array is total. So this is how we can call the value. We are directly passing an array, which is anonymous array, into this sum function, and we are showing the value. Let's execute the program to show you the value that we have done so far. You can see 120 is being thrown to you. So your homework here in the anonymous arrays, I have declared the sum functions. So instead of sum function, you need to create an average function. Try to do with your own, and how we can provide an array. So since sum is already being processed, I is number of data we have. So number of count, let's say count here is length we need to do. So divide the total with the length, then you get an average. So just print that average. So this is how you can proceed with the question. So this is a practice question for you student guys. uh, Write a program where you need to do anonymous arrays use. This is an array that you need to supposed to pass. Provide the number of that. So I will be hinting that pass the array directly to the method that calculate an average and create a function like we did in this. We have created a sum function. So same approach, go with the average function and try to create the same and do the necessary steps against the value. So far we have covered complete knowledge about how the anonymous arrays look like and how we are proceeding those and passing those values in the method levels that we have discussed so far. So now the topic here is at the end of the arrays is what are the necessary program that you need to have an idea before moving on to the next topic, which is a oops concept. So which are the programs that is necessary or that you should have a die hard knowledge about it. So there are, I have divided into these sub programs that you need to have an idea before moving on to the topics. So the first is linear search. Find the maximum minimum in array and use the same logic to find the second maximum minimum. Then we need to find a duplicate element in array using a brute force. And then there are two more approaches, which is set and a map. That is not part of your right now syllabus. When we are covering the Java collection, then only we are again fetching this question and we are using those methods to overcome the disadvantage of the brute force method when we finding the duplicates. Then the missing the finding elements in the array. For example, there is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is an array and you need to I intentionally I have removed 3. So what is the missing number in between this array that we are going to populate with that part. Similarly, how to find the two common elements means there are two arrays has been provided to you. You just need to show you which are the common elements is being on those two arrays. So these are the generally interview questions that people generally ask you during an interview. So let's go one by one and do with the approach with that part. So the first topic is linear search in array. So the linear search in array means you need to go one by one in each element of the array, and then whenever you found that element, just say I have found the element and break the loop, and the program will end. If you are not able to find the element, then it will say element not found, and then the program execute. So this is the program that you need to have an idea about it. So how we can achieve this logic? So same logic are being used in automation as well. Let's say you have, instead of arrays, let's say you have elements, list of elements, nearly 10 or 15 elements you have. Now you need to find if the element which you want has been present on those lists. Then you will go searching, finding all those elements line by line. If any element found, then you will see element has been found at which index. Then if you are not found, that means element not found. That same logic is being used in the linear. So that's why this program is very necessary to you. So let's take an example here. Like let me go with that approach. So let's say this is an array, right? So I have 1 2 3 4 5. So let's this is the array we have, and 10, and then 25, and then 30, and then 45, and then 50. So these are the data we have associated with an array, right? So let's say this is an array we have with the name of ARR. So the element you want to check is means the key is 30. So let's go with that. Key is equal to 30. That means you need to check if this 30 or this key is present on this array or not. So you go one by one. 30 is equal to 10, first thing. Then 30 is equal to 25. Then 30 is equal to 30. If it is found, that means element found. At which index? So indexing you already have an idea, such that 0 index, first index, second index, third index, and fourth index. So element found at, you can see I plus 1 means 2 plus 1, at third index it has been found. Or you can directly print at a 2 as well if you are not wants to go with the same approach. You can do anything that part. If let's say if this 30 is instead of 30 is a 31, that means element it could go like this again and like this. Since element 30 is not present in that, then it means it will throw us element not found. So this is the program that you need to achieve with the programming logic in the Java itself only. So let's try to do the same and go with the approach with that part. So like we did in this, you can see I have declared an array with the value of 10, 25, 30, 40, and 50. I hope this is the value. Yeah, 45. See, now int key is equal to 30. That is what you want to find. Okay, so let's I have declared one variable, let's say found is equal to false. So this approach is known as negation approach, where we are starting with negative thing. If that is changing with the value, that means it is working fine. Means I have intentionally said that found is equal to false, means it is not able to find the element. So that's why it is known as negation approach. If this if this element key is found, then we are changing this found from false to true. So this is how the logic will look like. So I have declared the keys, the founding point itself only. Now we are retrieving the data, and at whatever index it was matching with the key, that means we are changing found and printing the value of index of that. Means let's iterate the value by for each loop. Let's say I is equal to 0, I less than ARR dot length I plus plus. Right? This is how we are retrieving a data from a array, which we already have retrieval of array, which we already have covered in the yesterday lectures. So let's go with the logic. If we need to find the data, so that means ARRI is equal to key. That means the element has been found. Means ARR of I means ARR of 0. That means the data of that part. ARR of 1 means 25. ARR number 2 means 30. So this is the main difference between the arrays part itself only. So let's go with that. Let's make it as display element found at index number, let's say I plus 1. This is what I wants to print, and make the found is equal to true, and then breaking the loop. Whenever it found, that means we are good to go. So this is how the loop look like. If let's say if found equal to false, that means element was not present. So that means s out element not found. Let's say if element was found, that means we have already changed the value as true. That means this if condition will not work, and it's only print this value. If this condition is not means working, that means found still remains false. That means like this it is working, means element found, not found will print here. So let's try to execute the code and check if our code linear search is working fine. You can see, let me make it as a space. You can see element found at index number 3, which is our correct 0, 1, and 2. So I means 0. So 2 plus 1, 25, 30. 0 index, first index, second index. So that's why it is printing number 3. Okay. So you can see this is how the code looks like. Instead of key, let's say I have intentionally making a key which is not present in the array. That means this condition will not work, means this condition will work. You can see element not found is being thrown to you. This is the first program that you are going to assign with the value when we are dealing with the arrays and topic. I hope you are able to understand the same. Just drop a note into the chat section, guys. So the second question arises, find the maximum and the minimum array in the program. So let's say I have declare maximum minimum is the starting point, which means I will compare like this. Let's say this is an array with the same data. Let's say so the data is 10, 25, 30. Let's make it as 8. Let's make it as 70. So this is the data we have in an array. So let's mark it as this is the maximum data and this is also a minimum data. If I compare the maximum with another value, if I compare this maximum with another value, if I compare this maximum with another value, if I compare with maximum value, if maximum is a of this value is greater than this, that means it is a maximum. Means 10 is greater than 70, which is not. That means we are changing now maximum to this updated value. That means first time it is changing to 25, second it changes to 20, 30. Now 8 is lesser than 30, that means we are not changing any value. Then again we are comparing with 70 with 30, that means now 70 is the maximum value. So you can see we have achieved the maximum value. Similarly, like in minimum, so first it start with the 10. You can see 10 compare with 25. 10 is still lesser, so still minimum will remain 10. Then again it compare with 30. Still it is lesser, that means minimum is still remain 10. Then we are comparing with number 8. You can see 8 is lesser, that means minimum now change to 8 value. Now this 8 will be compared with 70. You can see minimum 8 is still there, so that means minimum is now 8. So by this logic we are getting the maximum and minimum in the same go. The same kind of a logic we are implementing with our program itself only. So let's create a new class with max and minimum test. So let's make it as main method and now declare an array. So this is how we can declare an array. So the data is 10, 25, 30 and 8, and let's say this is 70. So this is the data we have associated with it. So let's max is equal to ARR of 0, int minimum is equal to ARR of 0 as well. That means we have initiated with both max and minimum as number 10. So this is what I have done with this logic first point. So now we will iterate till the element has been associated with it. So now find max and minimum in array, and how we can do that, we need to iterate the array line by line. That means int I is equal to 0, I less than ARR of length, I plus plus, and now the thing here comes again. See, if the element means 10 we are comparing with maximum, 25 we are comparing with maximum, 30 we are comparing with maximum, 70 is maximum. Similarly, minimum with 10, minimum with 25, and how we can get the value ARR of I. So if ARR of I is greater than max, what we are going to do? Similarly, if ARR of I is lesser than minimum, means ARR of greater than maximum, then we are changing the maximum value. Means let's say 25 is greater than 10. That means now this max value has been changed to 25. And how we can do that? Max is equal to ARR of I. Similarly, we are doing with minimum. Now minimum has been changed to the ARI. That means if 25 is lesser than 10, that means it is not, so we are not changing value. But it if when it moved to the 8 number, that means it is now, it is working, means this number is lesser, that means ARRI minimum is lesser than this. We are changing minimum again to the specific value. This is how the logic we can get the value of maximum and minimum. So let's before moving on to the second maximum and second minimum, let's go with the value of printing the maximum element and the minimum element first. So let's print the value. Maximum element in array is max. Similarly, minimum is min. You can see, let make it as, see, this is how the program looks like. Let's try to execute the value and check if that is working fine. You can see maximum now holding a 70 and minimum is holding a 8. This is how the maximum and minimum calculations can be done with the possible output. Let's say I wanted to print the second maximum or second minimum. So we can do by one approach. We can uh, do sorting on this and then print the value with the possible output. That can also be done. We will cover this later on, but right now we can do with this approach. If ARRF is greater than second maximum and lesser than maximum, then this is known as second maximum. So how we can do that? Let's go with the same iteration loop. See, this we already have. No, if we have already, in this value we already have achieved the maximum value so far. That means this max is at top. If it is lesser than, means it is always true. And also we are doing one thing, we are declaring a second maximum. Let's declare one variable. Let's say second max is equal to integer dot minimum value. So second maximum, if say this is a greater than, if ARRI is greater than second maximum, then if both condition meet, that means this is known as second maximum. Now we are just printing the second maximum to ARRI like we did here. This, what we are doing, I'm doing the same approach. We are comparing with the maximum value, but we already have assigned the maximum. So if this condition is fulfilling and we have reaching the till second maximum, then the second maximum is now holding with the maximum, second maximum value. We're just printing the value. Let's print the value of second maximum. Second maximum this second max. So let's check the output on this program. So second output is, you can see 30 is the second maximum, maximum is 70, and minimum is 8. So if we wants to do second minimum, then how we can do that? Integer dot max value, then is lesser than second minimum, minimum, like this. And now we are assigning the second minimum, and we can print the value as well. Second minimum, let's print the output on that part. See, this is how the programs look like when we need to find the maximum, minimum, maximum, second minimum in the program. So let's move on to the next program, which is finding the duplicate elements by using a brute force. So the brute force simply means if we are searching the element inside the array, again, if the element is found, that means it is a duplicate element, right? Means, let's go with an example here first. So let's say this is an array, and we have the data like this: 1, 3, 4, 3, and 2. As you can see, 3 is being repeated 2 times. So this element is known as duplicate element in an array. So we are iterating one by one, first and second. ARR of I, that means 0 index, first, second, third, and fourth. Similarly, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are AR of I means 0. First, we are comparing 1 with all. First with 3, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2. If it is equal, that means this is duplicate. Similarly, I will compare 3 with first 1, and then 4, and then again 3. You can see 3 is equal to 3. That means it is a duplicate element. If it is not, then we are doing the same. So same ideology is being done in the brute force. We are iterating an array from their own and try to brute force duplicate. So let's go with the example first. So let's declare an array like we did here: 4, 5, 6, 4, 6, 8. You can see 4 has been repetitive and 6 also has been repetitive. So let's declare with the same array: int arr is equal to 4, 5, 6, 6, 4, 8. So this is the array that you have declared. So I want to check one by one. I need to iterate the element first. So let's display. So here is displaying duplicate element. So how we can do that? We need to iterate the array, right? How we can iterate? Same way, array dot length, same array dot length, right? Int I is equal to 0, I arr dot length I plus plus, like this. As you can see, there is a catch here. Why we are declaring, why we are comparing with the same value? For example, uh, if I is equal to 0, that means instead of starting with this point, j will initiate from next value. That means it will start value searching from 3. If it is verifying the same value, that means 1 is again the same value has been associated with it. That means it is the same equal. So it will print you a duplicate. So we don't want to do that. So that's why let's go with j is equal to I plus 1. So let's declare it an int, and we are declaring j arr dot length j plus plus. This is how we are iterating an array. First, 0. This is 0 and this is 5. Means j is equal to here I is equal to 0. That means we are associated with value 4. And similarly, j is equal to 1. That means we are associated with 5. So we are comparing 4 with 5. If both are equal, that means it's a duplicate. So if ARR of I equal to ARR of j, that means it is a duplicate element. We can print any value as out ARR of I. This is how we can get the duplicate value. See, break avoid multiple prints for the same duplicate, but this is not a good approach. We are changing this. So instead of breaking the same from here, this is not a very good approach. So we are not doing with that part. So I will show you how does it look like. You can see 4 and 6 is one duplicate element. Let's say if there are more than twice duplicate was present. So this is the condition. You can see it is printing 4 multiple times. So this is the drawback of brute force approach. So this drawback has been resolved by map when we are covering the Java collections, when we are understanding how the map look like and how we can add those values in the map. That will be covered later on. So this is the brute force duplicacy. We have an disadvantage or a drawback that we needs to discuss when we are covering with the Java collection topic. When we understand, so same approach we will be moving from solve by modify array. We can do that. So let's move on to the next question, which is finding. We can solve by modifying array in O of no. Yeah, we can do that, Kshitij. So finding the next question in the automation perspective, when we are dealing with the missing element in an array. Let's say this is the array. You can see 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 an array, and you can see the missing number is 3. And how we can do that? Since if you have an idea in mathematics, there is a formula for summation of if there is a consecutive numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a math formula which means n into n plus 1 divided by 2, which is the sum of that part. So that means if I add those values and already find the number of elements and use the total on that and differentiate on those values, that means this is the missing number. So same ideology we are going to do with the value. So let's take an example here for better understanding. So let's say this is an array and we have declared some data here like 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So this is the data we have. Let's mark it as sum. Let's count the value of those value. 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. So what is the output on that part? 1 plus 2 3, 3 plus 4 7, 7 plus 5 12, 12 plus 6 18, 12 18 plus 7 25. So this is the sum of the number on those. Let's say if 3 is already present, then what is the sum? That means number of element is sum expected is equal to n multiplied by n plus 1 divided by 2. So number of element we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means 6 multiplied by 7 divided by 2. 2 divided by 3, 3 into 7 is equal to 21. N plus 1 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have find the web elements. So this is how the looks like. N minus n into n plus 1 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So we have element of instead of 6 it is a 6 7. because we need to find the missing number. So 4 into 7 is 28. So you can see 28 is a sum expected. Right now we have a 25. If I differentiate 28 minus 23, that means 3 is a missing number. So this is the logic behind the program we have covered into that part. So let's try to do with the programming on that in array and declaring the value. Missing element test. Let's declare the value like this. Int arr of array is 1 2 4 5 6 7. Int n is equal to 7. Now int total is equal to n multiplied by n plus 1 divided by 2. That means it's a 28, right? If I want to do find the sum of the array, how we can do that? We can do like this. Int I arr is equal to, we need to declare one variable. Let's say I have declared value variable as sum is equal to 0. So sum is equal to sum plus I. This is how we can get the value of summation. Now if I want to find the value of missing element, so missing element is total minus sum. So this is how we can find the value. Let's try to print the value. You can see missing element is 3 is being printed here. So this is the next program that you should have an idea when you are dealing with a arrays topic before moving on to the selenium and the rest assured, because it is helping you to find the missing elements and also finding the sum of each element's iteration can also covered here as well. So now moving on to the last program of today's lecture, which is finding the common element between two different arrays. So we are going with the same brute force approach. So let's say there are for this is a condition in this both arrays of the same type, same size. So we have seen 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and there is one more array 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. These are the two different arrays. You can see 20 is a common element, 30 is a common element as well. So by one we can iterate the value. We are comparing 10 with 15 first. So let's take an example with the diagram for more understanding. So let's say this is an array and this is one more array. So the data here is 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Correct? Second is 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. So this is the array we have. So first I compare 10 with each element on this array. Then I will compare this 20 with each element on this array. And then I compare 30 with each element on this array. Similarly, 40 I will compare each element on this array. Then 50 with each element on this array. And whenever there is a match found, for example, 30 has been found here as well, then we are printing. Similarly, 20 has been found here, so we are printing 20. So these are the two common elements that we have associated with both the arrays. So let's try the same program in our logic. So common element array test. So let's declare a main method. Let's declare two arrays. The 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. This is the one element. Let's declare one more. ARR of 1 and this is ARR of 2. 15, 25, 30, and 35. So these are the two arrays we have. So now we are iterating both arrays line by line. So int I is equal to 0, I plus arr 1 dot length, I plus plus, and then we are doing like this for int j is equal to 0, j arr 2 length, j plus plus, and at the end we are checking if arr of 1 I equal to arr of 2j. So if both are equal, that means arr of 1 of I we are going to print, means s out. So this is the element that we are going to print. Before that, let's print the element. Common elements in two arrays is. So let's print the value to check if it is working fine. You can see 20 and 30 has been printed here. So that's all for today's, guys. These are the necessary programs that we need to have an idea when we are dealing with the arrays topic in our uh, automation perspective. Whether it's a Selenium, rest assured that you should have an idea about it. So I hope we will meet on tomorrow when we are dealing with the oops concept and starting with the same, and we are dealing with the one of the constructors and try to create a different level of constructors. And those constructor we are going to use in our automation framework when we are dealing with the automation. So the constructor is very important topic that you need should have an idea about it. So let's meet on tomorrow, guys.